It is time for my Christian review of regular books and no spoiler review of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. For those of you who haven't seen one of these videos before, make sure to go check out the video pinned at the very top of this playlist, which tells you all about my Christian reviews of regular books. However, what you need to know is I'm going to do my regular review, what I personally thought of the book, and then I'm going to get into my Christian review, which is going to touch on topics that a fellow believer may or may not want to read. I will go through all of the pieces and an age range that I would recommend so that you can make the decision that's best for you. Let's go ahead and get into my regular review. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin was flying around the internet. Like, everybody was obsessed with this book. And so I felt so excited to get into it. On top of that, although a lot of people don't like this cover, I personally dig this cover. I think it's so cool. I love the kind of like pretend rainbow. I mean, it's not rainbow, but it feels like a rainbow. I feel like it was beautifully done. I also really love the paperback of this. I love the sprayed edges when they did it. I really love how the book looks. Okay, so I was super excited to check it out. On top of that, it has a lot of very real world experience because the main characters are game designers. And so I really loved learning about the game design aspect. It was very reminiscent of my childhood. And it really talks through the history of someone's life in a very interesting way, which was very much in line with my lifetime about my history. So all of those things made it a really fun experience. I also felt like the writing was extremely poetic in very unique ways versus how I'm used to it. There was pieces that I felt like this should be a very emotional thing that's being written about, but the emotion was not written into the dialogue or the communication or even the inner monologue. On top of that, then there was moments that I didn't think needed to be emotional, like that was structural, that was based, and then it was very poetic in writing. So I felt like it didn't really align with how I felt like the story should be going, and that made me not enjoy it as much. Additionally, I felt like it took me forever to get through. Like, I really struggled to get through it. And while I look back at this review and see that I was quite fond of a lot of these pieces, I ultimately rated it 3 stars. And now looking back on it, I feel like it was more like a 2-star read. I'm surprised by how much I enjoyed it at the time, because when I think back on it, I really struggled with it. And I don't feel like I had a great experience. Like, this was one of my least favorite reads of last year. Now let's go ahead and get into my Christian review. The first topic I always love to touch on is smut or spice because it's very popular and there are a few scenes. It's not so descriptive that you need to be worried, but they are there and just something to keep in mind. The second category is explicit language, and there is a fair bit. Again, it's kind of like mixed in and randomized, but it's there, so it's something to keep in mind. Finally is violence and gore. There are a few things that really twisted, kind of like surprised me, and there were some scenes where there was gore or violence. It's not very descriptive. I think it does add to the story. It's important. It's not so intense that it feels overly graphic, but just something to keep in mind. However, when I posted about this book a few times, I've had multiple fellow believers tell me that they could not read the book because of some of the political ideation that was associated in this book. And there was just a lot of discussion around things that fellow believers choose not to finish books for, things that are political in nature that maybe they don't agree with. So if that's something that's not for you, that's something good to know. Ultimately, because of the things that I've talked about today and some of the pieces of this book, I truly think this is a book for 18 and up. And I don't know that a teenager is going to actually even appreciate or enjoy this book, because a lot of what's interesting in here is how much it aligned with my own life, my own story, because the characters are the same age as me, or at least they were when I read it. As always, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and the bell so you can stay up to date with all of my Christian reviews of regular books, because there are a lot of them. Aren't there? I know, there's a lot. Also, I would love for you to stay in contact with me. You can see what I'm reading and rating in real time by following me on Goodreads. You can also find me on Instagram and on TikTok, and I have my own YouTube channel where I'm posting more of the day-to-day of my reading and life journey. You can find everything you need down below in the description box, so go ahead and check that out. And please make sure to stay a part of this conversation. Let me know what you think if you've read this book down in the comments below. Or if you'd love to continue the conversation via email, we'd love to hear from you at hello@trokia.org. Thanks so much, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.